Ah, look at that. Oh, I like that.
Okay. Welcome to EoZTVLive. I'm Elder.
I'm Mrs. Elder.
Today we're going to be speaking about one story, or at least probably going to be speaking about one story. There was a very bad terror attack in Israel today.
Oh, my goodness.
And what happened was, and it says over here, the Blaze had probably the best coverage of it. Sharona Schwartz is actually very good. There were two Palestinian teenagers, actually 14-year-olds,
Oh, my God.
who stabbed two Israelis in this Rami Levy supermarket in Binyamin.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes, and
Inside the actual store?
inside the store, and one of them was killed. This is a big tragedy, and essentially what happened, and you can read it over here. Essentially, what happened was there was they killed a 21-year-old man, and they wounded a 37-year-old man before they were shot and wounded by somebody who actually heard the shouting. He was in the prayer room, if you remember, the synagogue
yeah,
that was
I
in
do.
there. He was in there. He had a gun, and he shot them. They were wounded. They were not killed.
Wow.
It says over here that the shoppers, when they first heard about it, they fought back with grocery carts, and then the civilian shot them.
Oh, my God. Look at that.
Yeah, over here we actually see, and this is terrible, that you can actually see the the blood in the supermarket itself, in the on the store shelves.
Wow.
Here's another.
Oh, my goodness.
So this is it's unbelievable. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. The Rami Levy supermarket over here, but again, you can see, the person was selecting vegetables. Everybody knew it was a terror attack, but again, they were 14-year-old kids that did this. And the kids are again already being celebrated as heroes by the Palestinians. It's just an unbelievable culture that they have, where a 14-year-old is considered a hero. They were considered. I had an earlier article today about the soccer team, the Palestinian soccer team, are called the Fedayeen, which is the name of essentially the terrorists that killed many Israelis in the 1950s and 60s. They referred to these boys as Fedayeen.
Ugh.
So
That just breaks my heart.
It's really, really bad. So that is so it's really. I mean, it's an unbelievable story, but what even more unbelievable is about Rami Levy itself, about the supermarket itself. The supermarket is, if you want to talk about coexistence, and supposedly people want to see peace and they want to see coexistence. If you want to talk about coexistence, this supermarket is where there's the most coexistence between Arabs and Jews, and it happens to be one of them. I mean, Rami Levy is an entire chain, but it happens to be in the territories. And this is the sort of story that the Western media really doesn't want to talk about much.
I know. That's like a shame.
There's a.
I remember making this video.
Yeah. We this is 3 years ago, on right before Purim. Mrs. Elder and I were in Binyamin. We had a tour, and we saw everything about the Rami Levy supermarket. They showed it to us, and I could even show you a little piece over here of this is the manager of the store, Uzi Sharon, and what he said. Okay. Is there anything that you think, any misconceptions that you think that people might have about working here, living here, anything like that you would like to clear up?
Okay, Uzi is saying that the world can learn about coexistence and cooperation, and that often Israelis and Palestinians who used to work together and had friendship, and that stopped because of the Oslo agreements and various things that happened after that. Here they have an opportunity to meet again in a neutral zone. Israeli workers serve Arab shoppers, and Arab workers serve Israeli shoppers. There's no difference about that. And it's an open area where both populations live together. And he recommends highly of going inside and seeing how both populations walk together, shop together, normal life, I would say.
So, and that's really what it was. We walked in and we saw, the
coexistence.
The coexistence. Arabs were shopping. The day we went, there was far more Jews because it was right before Purim, so people were shopping for Purim. But it was it's just the way it was. We just showed video of, Arabs walking into the store. about half, many of the workers were Arabs. We spoke to one of the workers. He unfortunately refused to be put on video.
Yeah, I know. You
But-
remember that?
Yeah. But he was ecstatic to work there. I asked him lots of questions about what it's like to work there, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. He loved the way he was treated. He loved the respect that he had. He was one of, and he was I believe he was a manager at the store as well. Unfortunately, again, because of the way the intransigence of the Palestinians and the mindset that they have against coexistence, he was not, he would not allow himself to be put on TV or on video. But he was super happy. The only question that he was reluctant to answer when I asked him, I said, if there would be, a so-called peace agreement in which they would be separated, there would be a separate state of Palestine, would he want to move to Israel or would he want to stay in the Arab side? He refused to answer that question. But it was a tough question.
Yeah, that is a tough question.
But it was, but he was completely happy about it, and we showed, and I'll just, I can just mouse through the other parts of the video. Here's what it is. This is the supermarket that that everything happened in today. That the terror attack happened.
Just play it while you're talking.
Well, we would, there's sound on it, so I don't want to, have crosstalk. Here's the manager again, and he's answering more questions about.
Yeah, go for it.
Whatever they need.
And during
This is
Ramadan
the
they work
synagogue.
here, and while they're not eating, I mean, it's not a problem also. That's,
יוצאים בסוף הסדר בסודר, ואנחנו מנהלים והצוות מחפים עליהם בזמן הזה שהם אוכלים בצורה מרוכזת.
At the end of the Ramadan, I'm assuming if they have longer shifts, they go and eat, and the managers and all the Jewish workers make up for them.
Right, so the Jews cover for the Arab, for the Muslims when they have to eat at the end of Ramadan. I asked him one question. At the time he said that he would give out packages for the Arabs at Ramadan. He would give out the packages for the Jews, like Mishloach Manot, before Purim. So I remember I asked him the question, do you give the Mishloach Manot to the Arabs as well? And there was the only case of discrimination that we could find.
I know, right?
The
You
only
remember
case-
that?
Here's the discrimination. For the Arabs, he gave them also food packages. He gave them, however, he took out the wine because
Yeah.
Muslims don't drink alcohol.
Right.
So
Yeah, but
that's
I thought
the-
that was exceptionally thoughtful.
it is, of course, it's thoughtful, and it's and that's but that is the only difference of how he. I asked them if there was also a prayer area for the Muslims, and he said generally they don't need a prayer area. They don't mind praying wherever they need to be. They don't need to be in a room for that. So in that case there was a slight difference. The Jews that are working there, they want to they want to
Have a
pray
minyan?
with they want to pray with a minyan, with a quorum. So there was this little synagogue that was built in, and then this is the synagogue that we're seeing over here that the hero came out and shot the two terrorists. It's just an amazing story. But this is. There's more to it. I mean, the Rami Levy story is so much of a bigger story because it shows exactly the difference. And again, this sounds racist for people that are listening, but this is completely true. It's a difference between how Israelis look at coexistence, and this is settlers over here. What would the evil settlers? Because this is in the territories.
Yeah.
How the Israelis, even the settlers, want coexistence, and how. Again, obviously not the workers. The workers are fine with it, but I'm just saying how the general Arab community, the general Palestinian Arab community, is against it. What happened was a couple of years before we did this video, I did I did a number of articles about Rami Levy. I was very interested in seeing this and for myself. The Palestinians were very upset over Rami Levy. And the reason is because it's inexpensive. I mean, the food is, good and cheap. And a lot of Palestinian Arabs want to go there. They want to go shopping there. Not only do they work there, but they also want to go shopping there, which makes sense. It's open to everybody. There is a gate, as I recall, in the industrial zone it's at, but the gate is always open, at least certainly during business hours. They were, they go shopping there, and there's no problem with that. The Palestinian Authority was trying to boycott all Israeli goods and all settlement goods. So they got very upset. So there was this article I have over here from Ma'an in 2010 in which they said they were going to be launching a boycott chain against Rami Levy. of course, it didn't work because you obviously saw there were Muslims and Arabs there when we were visiting.
That's
this
right.
is 2010. But they said that they were going to start punishing and be prosecuted anybody that was advertising or selling their goods, anything like that, Rami Levy products. They said they were going to. They tried really hard to stop any Arabs from coming. They said, and this is not in this article, but there was another one. They said that they were going to go and look at the license plates because the Palestinian license plates are obviously different from the Israelis, and they said they were going to look at the license plates and take note of that so they might be able to prosecute them afterwards. This is just unbelievable.
It's just a shame. Yeah.
It really is. And but
I got to tell you, I certainly hope that they come to civilization one of these days.
It's unbelievable, but it's anti-peace, and that's the thing that nobody really talks about. Is that it is there's nothing. If you look at the type of communities that are the types of the press releases, the types of initiatives, the supposedly from NGOs and from peace organizations, the Palestinians are exactly against working together with Jews and working together with Israelis. There's
Well, let me ask you a question. What let's dissect it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What benefit is it to them to work with the Jews? Nothing.
Of course there is. What are you talking about? They have like in the Rami Levy case, they have cheaper products. They get they are employed.
No, but look at all the incentives that they get from all over the world if they don't and they keep creating tension.
No, they have incentive from people that hate Israel. They have incentives
Yeah.
against it. However, the ones that are actually normal about it, the ones that are that talk reasonably, is they're the ones that are normal Palestinians, normal Arabs, are very happy. They understand it. They just want to work. They just want to live in peace. They just want to have normal lives, and they just want to do. They don't mind. It's the authority, and it's the media, and it's all of the pressure that they get, the peer pressure that they get against it. But on an individual basis, they just want to live together. They don't mind. They would. This is fine. Over 100,000 Palestinians right now work for Jews, whether it's inside Israel itself or I believe the last number I checked out was about 20,000 work in the settlements. They get paid more than double the rate that they get from their own local businesses. Of course, they want to work. Plus they have better. In general, they have better benefits. They have better working hours. And it is, they're all fighting over themselves to be able to get these sort of jobs. And Israel, as a matter of fact, just said they were going to add more working permits for them, hoping that this would be one way that would create a disincentive for these sort of terror attacks that we're seeing over here. The problem is 14-year-olds are being told on TV, they're seeing music videos, they're seeing all of the stuff that says that they're going to become heroes. And right now, these two 14-year-olds are heroes, and they're going to now inspire all these other 14-year-olds and teenagers to follow in their footsteps. It's pure incitement. There's it's nothing to do with frustration. It has nothing to do with all the other things that people talk about.
Well, I say donate to Elder so that we can go ahead and make a change to this, because I'm willing to fight it just like anybody else who's on the line that can listen. We've got to make a change.
And everybody is, and we all do have to work together to be able to do this. It's a very important that we we don't just sit back and say, oh, this is a shame. There are things that we can do. There are things we can do as far as tweeting things out and sending emails and sending real letters for the people that still do that sort of thing. And and it's just like the pressure works. I mean, it's when the media says something wrong, or you can do something about it. You could actually make an impression. You have to be careful of how you say things, but it is tremendously important. By the way, this is not in the current uprising. This was not the first stabbing attack. This is not the first terror attack at Rami Levy. There was one in November as well.
Who did that? Tell us a little bit about that.
It wasn't a kill. The person wasn't killed, but an Israeli man was seriously injured. A 40-year-old man was injured in the attack, stabbed again in the upper body. And this was again back in November. Now, why did they choose, the Rami Levy supermarket to be able to do these sort of things. The one place where they're treated with respect more than anywhere else, where they have wonderful jobs, they're treated exactly equally. They can't say anything about Israeli apartheid there or something like that. So why do they choose a place like that in order to be able to do the attacks? The reason is because they are against peace. The last thing that these leaders want, and the last thing that they want to teach their kids, is to do peace. They don't want peace. They want to have a constant state of conflict. This is where they get their funding from, is from people that want to maintain the conflict. You think that, Human Rights Watch is going to say anything positive about the Rami Levy supermarket? You think Amnesty International would say anything positive about it? They're never going to. The reason is because they think that settlers and the settlements are the worst evil in the history of the world, and that it's a war crime. Jews living in their ancestral lands, they consider the biggest war crime, and everything else is subservient to that. So, okay, there's a stabbing, there's this and that. They'll pretend that they're against it. We're against that too. But it was settlers. The guy that was killed was a settler. That, makes it all...
Actually, maybe you should delve in on the settlers a little bit and show how mistaken that is.
I mean, the settlers
but
are
I'm
human
just saying
beings.
to you, there's a lot of people who really don't get it.
No, they don't. Of course not, because there's an entire industry to demonize them, to demonize the Jews that want to live in Judea and Samaria. There's an entire industry out there that wants to say that they're the worst possible people, and they try to make them look like they are, extremists, and they're all from New York or all from Brooklyn. That's what they usually say. This is what they are trying to do so it's like. Anything that shows the other side of the story, anything that shows that settlers are human beings or that Israelis are human beings, the haters go crazy. They just will do anything they can in order to stifle anything that makes it even shades of gray. Forget whether, the black and white. Forget the fact that most of the settlers most of the Jews that are living in the settlements in the Judea and Samaria are normal people, hardworking people, ideological, certainly, some of them. Some of them just live there for very practical reasons, but they're normal people, and that's not something that the world wants to see. That's not not something that the Palestinians want anybody to see.
I know they want to hide it so that they can't. They can say how there's no civilization there for them, which is so not true.
Right. And Rami Levy is the exact example that shows this to be true. The supermarket itself is the greatest model of coexistence that you can find between settlers and Arabs. You're never, that's where it is.
Why are you using the terminology settlers?
I'm just saying it because it's easiest
I don't think
to use
it.
it.
I know, but it's easy, but I don't. It's
even
inaccurate.
they call themselves as settlers. It's not.
I know, but it's giving over the impression.
Yeah, I know. It's they're whatever. They're the people that live in Yehuda and Shomron, but they are. They're nice people. They're normal people. They have some. They live in beautiful, houses. This is it. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They didn't kick out any Arabs from their lands. 99% of the homes that they live in are in places that nobody has ever lived in history. Usually on hilltops. Usually the people would settle in valleys. So they are. This is all. The entire thing is just it's a huge propaganda exercise started by the Arabs, but eagerly
but it's working.
On.
Are you kidding
Exactly.
me?
It was eagerly pounced
so
on by
we got to do the same thing
liberals.
ourselves and push back and do our own propaganda. Are you kidding?
Yeah, well, unfortunately on our side we like telling the truth a little bit too much.
I understand that, but we should do a propaganda truth campaign.
And that's what I try to do.
I know, but we really need to get it out there.
I agreed. So anyway, that was the major story I wanted to talk about today. We could talk about a couple other things. This is not, we're not quite at it. We don't have the rules yet as far as how this broadcast is concerned, whether we have to do an entire hour or, even less. But there were a couple of other articles, that I had today. One of them I mentioned a little bit earlier, talking about there were a couple of interesting ones, actually. The Palestinian national football team, as I mentioned before, is named the Fedayeen, which really means that they're named after terrorists, which I thought was an interesting story.
That is interesting. Yeah. Are you kidding?
Yeah, we mentioned this last night about the UK officially, with their how the United Kingdom came out saying that the BDS movement is essentially illegal for public.
I know, isn't that great?
Yeah, but the thing I pointed out in today's article is that they explicitly said in their press release that it fuels anti-Semitism, which is, and it's 100% true, but the fact that the government of the UK said that explicitly is a fairly big deal. that they're saying that, this is fueling anti-Semitism. This is, they're essentially equating and they're drawing a link between the boycotters and anti-Semitism, which is,
Well, that's what it is.
it's exactly what it is.
And the fact is it call a spade a spade.
Right, but they always claim, no, we're only anti-Zionist, we're not anti-Semitic. But you know what? They're saying, look, we see what happens in rallies, we see what happens with all these guys. They really are, they're anti-Semitic. One other brief story that we're just going to go through,
Sinkholes.
yeah, sinkholes was fun. These are I thought these were fairly stunning pictures actually.
Those are great.
This is in Gaza. This has been happening between a combination of two things. One reason is because of rain, and the other reason is because Egypt's been putting dumping seawater, pumping seawater into the tunnels, into the border between Egypt and Gaza. And in the tunnels, the water is going down into the tunnels, and it's causing them to collapse.
But that's great.
No,
I love
is.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
Continue.
these are-
Please pump in some more
Right.
seawater.
So this is, so there, the article that came from, this is from the Rafah municipality Facebook page. So they're just blaming Egypt. They're just saying, how could they really do it? They don't mention anything about the tunnels, but of course it's all because of these, huge holes underneath the ground that are now getting, the ground is collapsing on top of it. One of my readers mentioned that the weather forecast is for more heavy rains like next week. So we may be seeing more of these pockmarks
Awesome.
in
Hey,
Gaza.
track those terrorists.
And it's been a lot of Hamas people have been killed in these tunnels lately from these, from this. Although the ones that were killed earlier were not from the Egypt's pumping the water, because it happened in different parts of Gaza. Those guys were building tunnels to tunnel into Israel for the next war. But they also were collapsing because of the rain. But these are all of the smuggling tunnels. Apparently, these are the smuggling tunnels that are near the Rafah border, and that's what was being.
So that leads me to a question that I'm going to bring it to America. So why on earth does Trump want to build the wall when, in fact, everybody can go ahead and build a tunnel?
It would be. It's a little off topic over here. That's an interesting question. I don't know how good the Mexicans are. They would have to tunnel under a river, though. There's a river in between. So,
But not in every location.
Not in every location. That's true.
No, but I'm just
But,
saying to you,
yeah.
it's like the
I don't know if there's as much money for Mexicans to
the
tunnel
Arabs show
into
that they can
America.
do that.
Over here, they have
They're teaching the
incentive.
world all
They're-
of these great ways to get around,
No,
right?
No, but it's true. But the fact is, Hamas is funded for the tunnels. They have a lot of money going into it. I don't think the Mexicans have that much economic incentive to build.
Are you
a
kidding?
tunnel.
Drugs, sure.
Drugs. Okay. This is not a topic for our blog. We're not going to
I understand that, but I'm looking at I'm just hoping that they collapse too.
Yeah. At any rate, I had another apartheid poster today, which I actually have to update because he's actually a current deputy minister as well. But this is Ayub Kara, who's a member of Knesset for the Likud party. He's Druze. He's very, very Zionist because he's very pro. He's pro everything. Which means that J Street would consider him an anti-Zionist, which is a bizarre thing about J Street. But the fact is, he's really, really a good guy, but he's also very, very big on helping the rights of Arabs and Druze in Israel. It's not like he's drunk that he has drunk the Jewish Kool-Aid or something like that. He's really a very effective lawmaker. But he happens to be in the right wing, or what's called the right wing Likud party. It's really more centrist than right wing. So that is pretty much it. Hopefully, I don't know if the video is still working, but hopefully that everybody enjoyed this, and we will put it up. And this is what we're working on. So
And please join us if you have any comments or you want to ask a question. Please do so. Also, please don't forget to donate.
yes.
We need to change the world.
Okay. Thank you very much. And to sign off tonight, this is Elder,
And this is Mrs. Elder.
and thanks a lot.